afternoon, everybody. We're on a seriously tight schedule. I know our chief guest has to get to University of Nairobi, Kigali, all over the world. So if I might start with just welcoming Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Aden Mohammed, our chief guest, Jack Ma, Executive Chairman and founder of Alibaba Group, the co-hosts of this event, Secretary General of UNCTAD, the mercurial Dr. Mukisa Kituyu, and of course the equally mercurial KEPSA CEO, Carol Kariuki, our esteemed visitors from China. I was looking through the list and I was amazed at the new economy nature of your visitors. Thank you for bringing such a strong entourage here. We're deeply grateful for that. There will be an opportunity to interact with the entourage when Jack leaves. Business leaders and future entrepreneurs. It is an absolute privilege to be moderating this event today. Very, very excited, obviously. You can tell by the room. We haven't seen it this full ever, I don't think, and so many cameramen. And given the tightness of the schedule, I'm going to move straight off to a short film that we're proposing to show, Why Kenya, the Future is Kenya. Vinod Khosla made $1 billion and Sun Microsystems said once, the future's not seen in the rearview mirror. And I think that's exactly the case in Africa. We're at this inflection point, like when you typed in beer into the internet, it's just like that. So we're very excited. If I can have that show now, that would be great. Thank you.
Meet these business leaders. Leaders who symbolize success in Kenya.
Kenyans are go-getters. We are creators.
Kenya is definitely Africa's Silicon Savannah.
Kenya has one of the best educated population.
Kenya is ripe for investment.
Who believed in Kenya as it was.
Our business is driven by the Kenyan people.
Everyone with a phone has the power to grow the economy.
Would I invest in Kenya again? 10 times over.
Kenya is on the verge of becoming a significant global player.
Who now tell us where the future is Kenya.
I would like to now invite the Chief Executive Officer of KEPSA Kenya. This is Carol Kariuki. We both came home at the same time, same year, and Carol is now running KEPSA. So it's a privilege to be introducing you today, Carol. Thank you.
Thank you, Alikan. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Mine is really briefly to say Kenya is the gateway to Africa. And this is especially for our guests and entrepreneurs who've come from China to tell you if you're going to invest in Africa, start from here. And I'll just walk through with just 5 slides very quick. There's so much you can say about Kenya, but I just wanted to show you why are we saying Kenya is the gateway to Africa. So if we could run to the first slide, and you see the connection. And this came from One Belt, One Road, which most of our Chinese visitors know about. And you can see the route there that starts from where it starts from Asia, and the point is at Mombasa and joins up to Djibouti and to Europe and the rest of the world. And so this is where you enter Africa through. And why is that so? Consumer spending is up 60% over the last 5 years. 65% of the population is below 35 years. So you're looking at your innovators, your entrepreneurs, your consumers. 78% of Kenyans have internet access against 28% overall in Africa. And in July 2016, Kenya Airways served 54 destinations globally, 44 of them being Africa. So once you're here, you can reach the rest of Africa very fast. Slide 2. When you look at the sustained, resilient, and inclusive growth, there's the world real GDP growth, there's the sub-Saharan Africa, and there's Kenya. And you can see as the world has been struggling at about an average of 3% GDP growth. The rest, Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, around between 3 to 4%, but Kenya, around 5 to 6% the last couple of years. Of course, this year will be a bit strange to go a bit down because we have had a drought, extended drought. But what are these sectors that are contributing to that GDP growth? We have agriculture, forestry and fishing, 15.2%, real estate, 12.3%, transport and storage, 9.7%, construction, 8.2%, education, 7.5%. And what keeps Kenya real growing, especially with the commodity prices going down, is because of our diversified economy. And those are the sectors that are growing. The third slide, the growth multipliers over the medium term. You can look at some of the multinationals, and we just captured very few who have based their headquarters here or are working here. And many of them talk about the infrastructure. When you look at the rest of sub-Saharan Africa, even with our challenge of infrastructure, we really are doing much better, and that's why we're really the gateway. And then we have 86% of youth literacy between 15 and 24 years, and 50% of that population is below 25 years. Look at Africa's ICT. We are really we are the Africa's ICT innovation hub. And about 40,000 Kenyans are already working on online platforms. And we are looking to increase that through a program that we're working with the Ministry of ICT called Ajira, between KEPS and the Ministry of ICT, to really encourage more of the Kenyans and to understand online work. But again, the other thing, and I know this will come out in the panel, 75% of Kenyans aged 15 years and above are banked through M-Pesa, the mobile money, and I will not say much about that because it will come up. But we also have untapped hydrocarbon find, which is 600 million barrels reserved for those who are in the industries of in the mineral industry. And the fourth, what is guiding us? Because you could shoot from any corner, but Kenya is guided by a vision, what we call the Vision 2030. And this initiative is set to lift the country to a middle-income country, and infrastructure developments will lead to open up access to nearly 40% of Kenya's population because of infrastructure, triple the investment space, bringing in 2 to 3% of GDP via core projects and 5 to 8% of investment. There are real opportunities in Vision 2030 that you can take advantage of, and I cannot mention all of them, but there's the roads, there's the power, there's the rail, there's the LAPSET, there's the food security, and there are many, many public-private partnerships. And some of the opportunities for collaboration that are already going on. So for those who are thinking about investment, and that's my fourth slide, we already have about 10,000 kilometers of new roads that are required, and that process is ongoing. Those are already real projects that you can take part on. There's also the container terminal in Mombasa, and part of the phase 1 of the LAPSET project. And then phase 2A and B of the standard gauge rail, Nairobi, Naivasha to Kisumu and Malaba and continue. The phase 2 work has begun. So there's already opportunities right there. Oil and gas. And already we talked about the Kenya Pipeline Company, which has begun a project on $489 million, construction of a new Mombasa Nairobi multi-product. And I could mention many others, the power, the wind projects that are already going on, the hydro, the geothermal, and the transmission. Then, of course, there's the growth in internet penetration and mobile data, which is expected to create numerous opportunities. We're in the 4th industrial revolution, the age of internet and technology. And that's why we should be thinking where our jobs will come from. And I know the panel will be focused on innovation. What is Africa waiting for? The jobs will be different from what Asia got in the last 30 years. No jobs are coming from Asia the way we know Asia received them from Europe. So how shall we create our jobs? And my final slide, a case study of China collaboration with Kenya. And that is the standard gauge rail, which I mentioned, which was commissioned in June 2017, phase 1. And what will that provide? It's just not the construction of the standard gauge rail. We are known world over for our tea, for our coffee, for our flowers in terms of export. This is what this will be used for. And so any investor who is thinking about those investments, this is where to use. But then there's the rest of Africa to get some of those products and bring them through the standard gauge rail, at least when they get to Kisumu, and hopefully it goes to Uganda and Rwanda, and get to Mombasa and to the rest of the world. But there are also industrial parks. We want to be able to go into light manufacturing, electronics that can go to the rest of Africa. Remember I said that we connect to the rest of Africa through the airline and through the roads that are being constructed. We want those industries based here. So we really are the gateway. The special economic zones, the leather city that is already coming up, that has already been started, the textile industry. We want to clothe and feed Africa. Thank you very much.
Jack, I was reading the average age of your company. The average employee's age is 27. We're even younger here on the continent. The average age, I think, is 19. So feel at home. I want to now turn to the Secretary General of UNCTAD, who's just been reconfirmed for a second term. I believe the first Secretary General to serve 2 terms. It has been an incredible privilege knowing Dr. Kituyu. He really is an erudite, mercurial polymath. Now, please look those words up because they're all accurate, I think. Dr. Kituyu became UNCTAD's 7th Secretary General on the 1st of September 2013. Extensive background as an elected official, academic, holder of high government office, wide-ranging experience in trade negotiations and in African and broader international economics and diplomacy. I'm surprised Madam Theresa May hasn't called you up to help her out with Brexit, but so I'm sure you could. Dr. Kituyu, can I give you the floor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just some correction. I have appeared before the Commons Trade Committee and in Lancaster on a Commonwealth discussion of post-Brexit
You see,
trade
I wasn't
relations.
wrong.
My friend Jack Ma, honorable ministers, CEOs of enterprises, our visitors from China, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll just say a few words about why I invited Jack Ma to come to Nairobi and my expectations of what we can do on this occasion. In 2015, the global value of electronic commerce reached 25 trillion US dollars. That is only marginally less than the combined wealth of the 100 richest enterprises in the world, whose combined value is $27 trillion. In a series of international engagements about inclusive prosperity, about responsibilities to the future, I had the privilege to listen to Jack Ma before I asked him to become a special envoy of UNCTAD. And 2-3 things always stuck out for me. One, his rendition that in history, the first generation of new technology creates wealth for the innovators. And after those 2 decades, it's entrepreneurs, not the innovators, who make wealth from that technology. The second is a statement that the weakest people are those who surrender when they are defeated in one attempt to make things work. There is no heroism, there is no misery in failing, but there's heroism in always picking yourself up and going on again. And the third thing was a global awareness, at least outside the politics of Jubilee and NASA. There is a certain awareness that if you are in business and you have no visibility on electronic market, you don't exist. You might pretend for a short while that you'll increase what you sell to Burundi or expand your sales in South Nyanza, but in the emerging world, if you have no electronic visibility, you are irrelevant to the future. This brought me to 2 things. The first one was to seek Jack Ma to accept to be a special envoy of UNCTAD in the face of competition from some of the largest enterprises and UN agencies that were also interested in him. And as I mentioned to him, my success was partly because I got substantial support from the president of the World Bank and the then Secretary General of the UN, that Kituyu is the right partner. And Jack and I have never looked back since then. When we agreed since last September that he becomes an Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, the most expensive employee under me, but whom I pay $1 per annum, Jack said, I will accept this on 2 conditions. One, that a principal message we have is a message for African young people. And two, that you will create possibility for us to take that message to Africa. This is keeping my part of the bargain. That Jack has the opportunity to talk directly, not just to young entrepreneurs and encourage them, to all entrepreneurs and encourage them, but also talk to power that the infrastructure to get Africa platform, electronic platform visibility is broadly available. The political will and the mechanics of making it work has not received sufficient impetus. Now, having said that, I want to finish off with just what I'm expecting of this trip. I mentioned at a meeting we had this morning with the president that more than 50% of the people who have been getting to me about wanting to be in this meeting were saying they want opportunities to be commission agents of Chinese enterprises. And I was very upset with them. I said, you know, China has grown, taken 600 million people out of poverty through trade. So definitely trade is important. But they did not do that by trading other people's goods. They did that by trading their goods outwards. Jack Ma's significance to China is how he has helped people access markets. Persons who did not know that they mattered, who were empowered by a technology that allowed them to trade outwards. I was not inviting him to walk to Africa with me to open markets for Alibaba. I invited him to walk to Africa with me to say Africa can do what Alibaba has done for China. So we have a mixed audience of African entrepreneurs and Chinese entrepreneurs here. I want a very unusual ask of you for a Chinese entrepreneur to see what value-added African export he can take to China, and for the Kenyan and African entrepreneur, what value-added product you can take out of Kenya. We are at a unique moment. Africa needs now to speak with one voice that the world is ready. In many countries like your own, you have the foundings of the infrastructure. Cultivate the policy direction that you cannot trade in small pockets anymore. You are not Kenyan entrepreneurs. You are entrepreneurs in a competitive world. Efficient trade facilitation without building your productive capacity will reduce your own market share in your own territory. So we help facilitate trade, but build a capacity to outward, build capacity to benefit from it. That is the least I can ask of you. I hope at the end of this exercise, we have very, very, very serious entrepreneurs in the room. And not to mention one gentleman who is worth more than $42 billion sitting in front of me. But use that opportunity constructively. After our engagement now, as Jack and I go to a public lecture at Nairobi University, there will be a high tea. And it will be very good for some of you to continue informally consulting. I was very glad that Jack has said today, he decided late this morning that he's going to look seriously at being a business partner in Kenya. That's something he decided today. I hope when I go with him to Masai Mara this weekend, he'll have a second reason why he should want to come back to Kenya many, many more times. Very, very finally, I want to ask of you, the narrative out there assumes that you had a one-off miracle intelligence called Safaricom. But they don't know that the DNA that produced Safaricom can produce a diversified product range. I think surprise the world by your capacities. Don't drown it in the pettiness that is so easy and tempting in this country. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Dr. Kituyu, for a very inspirational intervention. One thing I've got to say about Dr. Kituyu, he's always betting on the right human capital. Whether it's Jack Ma or it's the African outside walking the street, Dr. Kituyu gets it, that the most valuable thing on the continent is not what you can dig out of the ground, it's the people walking on it. And those are the people we have to unleash. And Jack, we sincerely hope that you prove to be the catalyst to do that. Let me call up the chief guest and obviously the big deal here in Nairobi. Jack Ma, obviously, while I was reading through his story, failed university 4 times, Jack. Is that right? 3. Oh! Whoa! Did not get employed by KFC. Out of 24 people, 23 got hired. Jack didn't. So let's start off with that point, right? Never give up, Jack. The first thing he typed into the internet, I believe, was beer. Apparently, the first thing people do is type in their own names. So that shows that you're not very self-centered. Raised $66,000 to start Alibaba, a company now worth, I think, $388 billion. I was teasing Mr. Collymore over there because he ranks second to you, Jack, in terms of value creation. Because he's took a company of $1 billion to 8.5. On that note, Jack, we would like you to say a few words, if you may.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Katui, ministers, CEOs, and entrepreneurs, and my colleagues from China. It's my great honor. I've been expecting this day for a long, long time. I read a lot of books, saw a lot of movies, and when I see the Africa, when I see the wonderful land, I always turn on the TV and start to see. I think my daughter also saw a lot of Africa stories and Africa pictures with me, together with me. And today is my first morning arriving here. In the past few hours, I upgraded my understanding of Africa. Because I have high expectation. Normally when you have a high expectation, you have a disappointment. But I was so excited this morning. I'm excited by this land, excited by the people here. The whole world today has a lot of worries, concerns. But Africa, you see the expectation. You see the passion. People here want to change. This is what exactly I saw 20, 30 years ago in China. We also worried 20, 30 years ago. China worried a lot. Even when everybody says China is going to join WTO, the Chinese people say, oh my God, when China joined WTO, the wolf will come to China. But after 20 years, people think China is like a wolf because we grow up. And today the world worried, but Africa, you see, this morning I met so many excellent young entrepreneurs. The ideas they have, the passion for the future, and the belief they have for the future. This is what the human being need. This is what economic need. It's the people. People say we don't have Africa, we don't have infrastructure. Well, what we need is not necessarily the infrastructure. It's the people's passion. It's the people's belief for the future, especially young people. And I think what we did in China when I started my business in my apartment 18 years ago, there's no infrastructure at all. No mobile phones. I remember I'm meeting Steve Jobs 6 months before he launched the Apple phone. We talked for 1 hour. At that time, we had no idea what his smartphone looked like. He did not mention anything about smartphone. He asked me a lot of questions about mobile phones. But things changed so much. The mobile phone changed the world. And most possibly that because why e-commerce grows so fast in China? Because we had a terrible infrastructure of commerce. Because the infrastructure of commerce in China is so bad, and USA, the infrastructure of commerce is so good. So USA e-commerce is a dessert for China. It's become the main course. And China did not. People keep on challenging me. So you don't have a credit system, you don't have a check system. Why? How you can do e-commerce? You don't have internet infrastructure. You don't have this. You don't have that. How can you do it? I said because we don't have this and that. We have entrepreneurs. We start to build. Entrepreneurs, real entrepreneurs, never wait for infrastructure. We build infrastructure. So, where in the world is supposed to have the best infrastructure for doing e-commerce? Europe, they have the best infrastructure. But why they not? They worry too much. They worry about security, privacy, and law, and this and that. When you start to worry, you don't have a future. We know there are a lot of problems, but this time in Africa, I see the passion. I see the belief. And I would say, finally, the world in the next 30 years is going to change so big, so scary, that most people cannot expect. The first technology revolution takes about 50 years. Second technology revolution takes about 50 years. And every time, the first 20 years is about the technology. The next 30 years is about implication of the technology. Internet has just passed 20 years. Next 30 years is about application of the technology, of the internet, using the internet. It's not the internet company is going to win. It's those companies using internet will be winning. It's not the entrepreneurs. Every entrepreneurs will be online, which we call netpreneurs. So please pay special attention to the next 30 years. Car was not invented in America, but America using the car good. Electricity was not invented in America, but America using electricity well. So of course, internet is not invented in Africa, but African young people can definitely use it better. And please pay special attention to those people who are below 30 years old, because those are the people never scared of using and trying new things. In this world, the most difficult thing is to convince the successful people, because they all live in the yesterday. And we, young people, want always live for the future, using the technology, just like the day when I type the first word, internet. My friend said, Jack, just don't be afraid, just to type in, it's not a bomb. And I did. Internet is good. It's challenging to a lot of successful people, successful countries, successful companies, but not to us. Because we have Africa, like China, we have nothing to lose. The thing we should not lose is hope. The thing we should never lose is fighting for the future. And I said again, if Jack Ma can be successful, 80% of the people in the world can be successful. We do not have money. We start from zero. And Africa has the hope, and pay special attention to those people who are below 30 years old. Pay special attention to those companies who have 30 employees, less than 30 employees. And please pay special attention to women, because women will be the power. I think women will be the rising power of the 21st century. If you can use more women, I'm sure that you can make your e-commerce, e-business much better. By the way, there's no made in China in the future. There will be no made in America. Everything will be made on internet. You may buy here, design there, sell all over the world. If you're connected to internet, think globally and win locally. And keep on doing that. As I said, if we can succeed, you can. If you cannot succeed, somebody will can. So keep on doing it. Thank you.